So it finally happened, and Dejounte Murray was traded for Larry Nance and 2 first-round picks to the New Orleans Pelicans. I said picks by accident, but yes, the deal ends up that the Pelicans are trading a 2025 first-round pick via the Los Angeles Lakers and the least favorable pick between the Milwaukee and Pelicans pick in 2027. Both are first-rounders. They're including Larry Nance Jr. and more for Dejounte Murray, Adrian Wojnarowski puts out there. Now, Dyson Daniels has been included in the deal as well. And as I look at it, I really think Dyson Daniels, 2 picks, and Larry Nance, who helps this team have like 2 different looks. They're going to have 2 different looks now. The Hawks are going to have a look where they can go Larry Nance, Jalen Johnson, Zachary Rissache, and Trae Young, Bogdanovic. And then they have another look where it'll be Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson. If they keep DeAndre Hunter, I don't think so, but Zachary Rissache is going to be the small forward there. What a deal. And I think this works out well. New Orleans adds Dejounte Murray to the backcourt. Then the Hawks walk away with 3 players. They get a backup point guard in Dyson Daniels, who's also going to allow Dyson Daniels is either a backup point guard or he's a backup point wing. You have Kobe Buffkin, who's either a point guard or a shooting guard. And both of those guys could develop into starters, or they're going to be really good backups. So for Atlanta, they walk away with 2 picks. And I know the original trade for Dejounte Murray when it happened was a little bit, they gave up a lot. But at the end of the day, what they were able to, they gave up multiple first-round picks and just Danilo Gallinari in the original deal. For them to get 3 players back and 2 picks, and one of those players being a former first-round pick himself, I think is a great deal and one that shows, hey, some savviness by Atlanta's front office that people weren't going to give him credit. Also, by the way, Atlanta fans, Mr. Nick Ressler does not have much power anymore. Nick Ressler has kind of taken a step back, and good. So for me, I think this is definitely going to be very interesting from the Pelicans standpoint. I think the Pelicans, to get the point guard that they needed. They have CJ McCollum. They have Dejounte Murray. They have Brandon Ingram, who they're saying is going to stay. They have Zion Williamson. And they're going to go out and get a free agent allegedly. And I personally think this is a great deal for New Orleans. They needed a point guard, and they get the perfect point guard for them. I think the biggest question is now, is it going to be enough? Does this put them over the edge to be a team that's going to be able to compete? And that's the biggest what if for New Orleans. I think they gave the pick wise. I think they gave up the compensation they gave up. I don't think is anything exuberant, anything that people are going to be like, oh my God, you gave up an arm and a leg. But the idea of now Dejounte Murray, CJ McCollum, and Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson all being on a team, and you still have Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, like that's a pretty deep team. Like I don't know, man. I think they did something good out there, and I wanna hear your guys' opinions. If you're a Pelicans fan or if you're a Hawks fan, do you guys agree with me? I just think this was such a solid trade that both parties should be very proud of what they were able to do. And to me, it's just one of those things where I think Atlanta gets to look. I think Trae Young's the type of guy you have to build around. You don't not build around Trae Young. Trae Young just is a better player than Dejounte Murray. And I understand Dejounte Murray is a great player. But then for New Orleans, they had to start to swing big, okay? They're at that point. They aren't rebuilding anymore. And Zion is like not he's on his second contract. It's time to settle down. And that's what they ended up doing. I think that was one of the biggest things for them, as now they walk away with a squad that we're going to sit here and say could really put, some pressure in the West. And the NBA is wide open. So to me, for this deal to come through like the way that it did, kudos to them for being able to pull the trigger and get the deal done. Kudos to Landry Fields for finding this deal and not feeling forced to take a bad deal. I think that's the biggest thing we're seeing right here. They didn't go ahead and just do a deal for the sake of making a deal. And for whatever crap we want to give Landry Fields, I think we need to say Mr. Landry Fields did it all right. They also brought in Nikola Jurisic. So, I want to say, again, another interesting move by the Hawks. I think the Hawks are really... I know a lot of people want to talk their crap when it comes down to the Hawks and the dysfunction they've had since there. But again, I told you guys, Nick Ressler is no longer really having a voice in the front office. So maybe this is a result of him not being a part of the front office as much. Now, I think what's the biggest thing is them understanding that I think this is a squad in Atlanta that is trying to compete, that is trying to take those steps to be a winner. And they want to do it with Trae Young. And I think Trae Young does give you the highest ceiling. I know some people are going to be like, no, he doesn't. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, he does. Regardless of what you think, Trae Young is an All-NBA player, even in his worst season. He's an all-star in his worst seasons, and he's in his best seasons, borderline MVP player. And you just don't you keep those guys. You just keep those guys, regardless of what you think of how they've done job-wise. You keep those type of guys. So I think this was a great move by Atlanta. I think it's a great move from New Orleans. One of those examples of a win-win situation. And now with Mr. Big Daddy boy Bogdan Bogdanović being a guy who will probably, run off the bench for them, I think that's even better because it gives them this. I think their team's just deeper now, deep. The Abyss deep. It's an okay movie. It's not I'm not gonna sit here and be like it's amazing, but it's worth a watch if you haven't seen it. The Abyss. Seriously, it is. It is. If you have 3 hours on deck and you don't mind, I would go watch The Abyss. But if you have plans or something, maybe not. But if you're looking for something to do, great movie.